Moving on. Key to the second half, or maybe keys. It doesn't have to be just one. We just talked about it. The Flyers at 4-4. This is the second half is where you start to separate yourselves from everybody. If you really get the good teams pull away, the teams that are bad kind of fall back. What's your key for the 49ers in the second half? Or keys?
Man, it sounds simple. It sounds so obvious, but it has to be it. It comes down to health. It really does. We just talked about an influx of talent that hopefully should come to this team through getting players back healthy. We also talked about McCaffrey, how much of a difference he made. Well, talent, weird thing about it, when you have it, you tend to win a lot of games. It makes everybody's job around you easier. The 49ers have to stay healthy. They have to stay healthy. They are a completely different team. When their defense has been decimated, we saw what happened against Kansas City. I know that a lot of names were there, but Ward was figuring out how to play with a cast. The other Ward, Charvarius, decided he wanted to play probably because he wanted to show off against his old team, but I don't know if he was fully healthy to be out there. Hufanga was going through concussion protocol. Bosa had his groin issues. None of those guys really practiced, and they just got thrown on the field. It didn't work out. When this team is healthy, they are extremely scary. When they are not healthy, they become a very regular team and can be beaten by other regular teams. They need, looks like we lost Jack. They need to stay healthy in the second half. If they are unable to stay healthy, the second half is going to be an issue, because if you aren't the most talented team on the field, then it comes down to coaching and execution. I got to argue, execution at this point has not been the best for the 49ers. I'm not sure that has been a strength of theirs. We saw it play out against the Bears. We've seen it play out in some of these other games. What's interesting, though, is when you watch the Rams, it was kind of like watching the 49ers in the past. Watching them fall apart, drop passes from Higbee, some of the penalties that they had going down the stretch of that game, just dumb penalties. It was kind of like watching the 49ers in previous weeks, and the frustration that we had in watching the San Francisco 49ers play football. That's what the Rams fans felt. Being on the other side of it is a hell of a lot better. It was much better watching the Rams kind of fall apart and implode there than it is watching the 49ers fall apart and implode. So I would say the influx of talent, 100%, getting those guys back, getting those guys healthy, that is the most important thing for the 49ers to continue this streak, beat teams like the Chargers, who going into the season, I thought that the Chargers were probably better than them. I thought they had a ton of talent. I believe in Justin Herbert, but that team is very depleted. J.C. Jackson is out for the year. Their center, Lindsley's been out. Bosa's out. That team right now is not near as talented as the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers should win a lot of those games and a lot of those matchups, quite frankly, because they're more talented.
Yeah, I lost my connection for a minute, so I missed some where you're going. But I think you said I got health. I know you were talking about Christian McCaffrey. Was there something else that I missed? Or you just catch me up really quick?
I was just talking about it. I went in a little bit into the Rams game and said certainly just having the best players on the field is the most important, because otherwise what happens is you rely on execution, and the 49ers haven't been the best team when it comes to execution this year. I think we can all agree there, whether it's penalties, drop balls, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I compared it to what we saw from the Rams. Quite frankly, looking at the Rams was like looking in the mirror at the 49ers from a week or two prior.
Yeah,
what they were.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. So you kind of, and that kind of goes along with the way that I look at this for the 49ers. The key for their second half is what you just said. The 49ers need to execute. If the 49ers execute, their talent is better than everybody else. So when we go back to that topic we just had a minute ago about who's the scariest, are the 49ers the scariest team in the NFC? I kept stopping myself because I was basically going to keep giving the answer to what I feel their key is to the second half. And that is that they need to be consistent, and they need to be able to execute. And if they execute the way that they did on Sunday, and they can do that regularly, this is a team that can go to the Super Bowl. They have the talent. It's just, and even with Jimmy Garoppolo, if Jimmy Garoppolo, he doesn't even have to play as good as he did on Sunday. He can play, Sunday's performance by Garoppolo with 84%. That's only the fifth time in 49ers history that that's happened. So I don't expect him to do that week in and week out. But if he can not just play where he doesn't turn the ball over, and they execute the way that they did, this is a team that can be, go a long way. I saw so many people talk about how Kyle Shanahan called such a good game against the Rams. It was just such a good. To me, I watched the game, and I think that the game that he called against the Rams was very, very, very similar to the game that he called against the Rams in Week 4. The personnel groupings that he was using, the formations that he was using. He really likes to use 12 personnel with his tight ends on the wing, motioning them across the formation and things like that, maybe to either get into that formation or to set up the play that they're going to run. We saw that again on Sunday. The difference was they executed at a very high level. Christian McCaffrey is a better running back than they've had in the last 2 years. And, they had Brandon Ayuk was having a pretty good game, and they got a coverage bust because the Rams were worried about Brandon Ayuk on an out route instead of worrying about everybody's, the people's tight end out wide. So, yeah, for the key for me for the second half is execute. You execute, you are going to get deep into the playoffs in January.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to Brandon Ayuk, absolutely, 100%. Dwelly getting that busted coverage was Brandon Ayuk, because he killed him on that speed out. It's interesting. He would do the speed out or he would do the pivot route. And either way, he was cooking them over there. They saw it coming one more time, or they thought they saw it coming one more time. That was not the case. And Dwelly was just wide open, waving his arms like, hit me right here. I'm wide open. Nobody's even near me. I promise. Get me the ball. That was all Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, it was, because you're right, because they were running that speed out and the pivot and those types of things over that way, and they saw him run it again, and they're like, "Oh, here comes the ball!" And then Garoppolo sees them doing that, and he pulls it back, and gosh, it was so nice to see that ball to go to not go to Charlie Warner, because it was actually caught this time, and huge play.
Imagine that.
I could actually feel the press box at SoFi Stadium actually shook when he made that catch. Just so you know.
That's dope.
So, yeah, no, that's my key for the second half. So I think it's pretty straightforward. I think the 49ers have a very good team put together, talent-wise, all those kinds of things. So I feel very confident that they're going to do well. Now,